The room went silent before anyone clapped. I remember that moment clearly, the way my sister's voice hung in the air, proud and excited, while my hands froze around my glass. "Everyone, I have some amazing news," she said, smiling wide. "Raina is pregnant. That's how my family found out. Not from me. Not on my terms. Not when I was ready." Have you ever had someone steal a moment that belonged to you? A moment so personal that it should have been protected? If you've ever felt humiliated, exposed, or betrayed by someone who was supposed to love you, hit that like button. This story is for you. And if a family member ever crossed a boundary you can't forget, share your story in the comments. My name is Raina, and this is the story of how my sister took my most vulnerable moment, and how I took my power back without yelling, without revenge that burned bridges, but in a way she never saw coming. I found out I was pregnant on a quiet Tuesday morning. No dramatic symptoms. No big moment. Just a test I took alone in the bathroom while my husband was still asleep. 2 lines. I sat on the edge of the tub shaking, not from fear but from the weight of it. Hope, anxiety, joy, all mixed together. We had been trying quietly, not telling anyone. Not because we didn't trust people, but because we wanted this to be ours first. I told my husband that night. We cried. We laughed. We held each other in silence. We decided to wait before telling anyone else. Just a little time. Just enough to let it feel real. My sister Maya had always been intense. Older than me by 3 years. Louder. More confident. The kind of person who filled every room and every conversation. Growing up, she was the narrator of our family story. She spoke first. She decided what mattered. She framed events before anyone else could. I was the quiet one. The one people said was easygoing. What they meant was, I didn't fight for attention. Maya and I had always been close, at least on the surface. But closeness with her came with conditions. She liked being first. First to know. First to react. First to share. When I didn't tell her something right away, she took it personally. So when I found out I was pregnant, I hesitated. Not because I didn't love her, but because I wanted one thing that didn't belong to anyone else yet. I told her a week later. Privately. Carefully. I asked her not to tell anyone. Her reaction was big. Emotional. Overwhelming. "Oh my God," she said. "This is huge. I can't believe it." She hugged me tight. Too tight. "I won't say a word," she promised. I wanted to believe her. The dinner where she announced it was supposed to be casual. Just family. No big event. I hadn't planned to share the news yet. But Maya had. And the way she said it, like it was her story to tell, made something inside me crack. People congratulated me. Hugged me. Smiled. No one noticed that I was standing there, numb. Because to them it was happy news. To me it was a theft. That night I didn't confront her. I went home and cried quietly in the dark. Because sometimes the deepest betrayals don't look cruel to outsiders. They look like excitement. The next morning my phone was full of messages. Hearts. Congratulations. Questions about due dates and names. Everyone was happy. Everyone except me. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the screen, feeling like something intimate had been taken from me and handed to the world without my consent. I kept replaying the moment in my head. My sister's smile, her confident tone. The way she didn't even look at me before saying it. Like she didn't need permission. Maya called around noon. "Why do you sound weird?" she asked immediately. "Everyone's so excited." I took a breath. "You weren't supposed to tell anyone. I asked you not to." She sighed, already defensive. "Raina, relax. It's good news. People were going to find out anyway." That sentence landed harder than the announcement itself. Going to find out anyway. As if timing didn't matter. As if consent didn't matter. As if my body, my pregnancy, my fear, my hope were just information waiting to be released. "I wanted to tell them myself," I said quietly. There was a pause. Then she laughed softly, the way she always did when she thought I was being too sensitive. "You always overthink things," she said. "I was just excited for you." That was her pattern. Cross the line. Then minimize the damage. Then make me feel unreasonable for noticing. I didn't argue. I hung up politely and sat there longer than I meant to, trying to understand why my chest felt so tight. Over the next few days, the pattern became clearer. Maya didn't just announce my pregnancy. She took ownership of it. She posted vague hints online before I could. She answered questions people asked me before I opened my mouth. She joked about cravings and symptoms I hadn't even experienced yet. At a family lunch, someone asked me how I was feeling. Before I could answer, Maya jumped in. "She's exhausted all the time. Typical first trimester." I smiled weakly. I hadn't told her that. Another relative asked if we were nervous. "Oh, she is," Maya said. "She worries about everything." Everyone laughed. I didn't. Because suddenly my pregnancy wasn't just shared. It was narrated. And I was becoming a side character in my own story. When I tried to pull back, Maya noticed immediately. "Why are you being distant?" she asked. "This should be a happy time." Happy for whom? When I stopped responding quickly to messages, she sent more. When I shared less, she spoke more. She framed it as support. "I'm just helping," she told people. "She's overwhelmed. She doesn't like attention." Those statements sounded caring, but they positioned me as incapable. I realized something uncomfortable then. This wasn't about excitement. It was about control. Maya had always needed to be the one who introduced news, explained emotions, summarized situations. She liked being the bridge between people and information because it made her important. And now my pregnancy had become her newest role. The more I tried to reclaim my space quietly, the more she filled it. One night my husband asked gently, "Is this how you wanted things to go?" I shook my head. That's when I finally admitted it out loud for the first time. "I feel invisible." He listened, really listened, and he said something that stayed with me. "Then stop explaining. Start observing." That's when I changed my approach. I stopped confronting Maya. I stopped correcting her publicly. I stopped reacting. Instead, I paid attention. I noticed how often she spoke for me, how she framed herself as the emotional authority, how she told slightly different versions of my feelings to different people. And I noticed something else too. The more confident she felt, the less careful she became. She started contradicting herself, sharing details I'd never given her, speaking with certainty about things she couldn't possibly know. People began to look confused. They didn't confront her, but they noticed. And that was enough for me to know. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The moment Maya crossed the line for good didn't happen in public. It happened quietly, the way she always preferred. I was at work when my phone started buzzing nonstop. Messages from relatives I barely spoke to, old friends, even a coworker I'd never discussed my personal life with. "Is everything okay? I heard you're on bed rest. Please don't stress yourself." My heart dropped. Bed rest? I called my mother first. She hesitated before answering. That hesitation told me everything. "Maya said you asked her not to tell you," my mother said carefully. "She didn't want to worry you." I closed my eyes. Asked her not to tell me what? Apparently, Maya had told people I was having complications. Nothing extreme, just enough to trigger concern. Enough to justify why she was handling things for me. Enough to make people treat me delicately, cautiously, like I might break. That was her new role. Caretaker. Spokesperson. Interpreter. And I had never agreed to any of it. I didn't call her immediately. That surprised even me. Old me would have panicked, explained, tried to fix the misunderstanding before it spread. Old me would have worried about how I looked. But something inside me had shifted. I went to my doctor that afternoon. Not because anything was wrong, but because I wanted clarity, documentation, and peace of mind. Everything was normal, healthy, strong. I asked for copies of everything. When I got home, Maya was already there, sitting on my couch, shoes off, phone in hand, like she belonged there more than I did. She stood up quickly when she saw me. "I was just about to call you." I set my bag down slowly. "What did you tell people?" I asked. She blinked, then smiled softly. "I might have mentioned you were taking it easy. You told me you were tired." "Tired is not bed rest," I said calmly. She sighed, frustrated now. "Why are you making this a big deal? People care about you." "No," I replied. "They care about the story you told." That was the first time I'd ever spoken to her like that. Her expression changed. For just a second the mask slipped. "You're being dramatic," she snapped. Then caught herself. Softened. "This pregnancy is making you emotional." There it was. The justification. I didn't argue. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and said something she wasn't prepared for. "I need you to stop speaking for me." She laughed, sharp and defensive. "I'm your sister." "That doesn't give you permission," I said evenly. She stared at me like I'd broken an unspoken rule. Because I had. I had stopped playing my role. After that conversation she changed tactics. If she couldn't control the story openly, she'd do it indirectly. She stopped talking to me but talked about me constantly. She's sensitive right now. She's isolating. She doesn't really know what she wants. People began asking me careful questions, like they were stepping around something fragile. I answered honestly but briefly. "I'm doing well. The baby is healthy. We're excited." No explanations. No defenses. And slowly something interesting happened. The versions didn't match. What Maya said didn't line up with what people saw. I was calm, grounded, working, living normally, not fragile, not unstable, not overwhelmed. And the more confident she felt telling her version, the more she exaggerated. She posted about supporting loved ones through difficult pregnancies. Didn't name me. Didn't have to. People started asking questions in the comments. "How is she doing? What happened?" Maya replied vaguely. Too vaguely. That's when I understood something crucial. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to be needed. And when that need isn't satisfied, people like her will create a problem just to solve it. I stopped reacting entirely. I focused on my health, my marriage, my peace, and I started preparing. Not for confrontation, for clarity. Because when someone builds their importance on speaking for you, the most powerful move is to speak for yourself once clearly and at the right time. The turning point didn't happen because I exposed her. It happened because I stopped allowing her to translate me. There was a family gathering a few weeks later. Nothing dramatic. Just a birthday dinner at my parents' house. Normally, Maya would arrive early, help in the kitchen, position herself at the center of every conversation. This time I arrived first. I helped set the table. I greeted everyone calmly. I asked people how they were doing. I didn't mention my pregnancy at all. That unsettled her. When Maya walked in, she scanned the room like she was checking for damage. Her eyes flicked to me, then away. She smiled too quickly. Someone asked me how I was feeling. I answered before Maya could open her mouth. "I'm feeling good," I said. "The baby's healthy. Everything's been normal." Just that. No drama. No oversharing. No weakness to manage. The room shifted. Not because of what I said, but because it didn't match what they'd been told. Maya jumped in, laughing lightly. "She's being modest. She's been so tired lately." I looked at her. Calm. Neutral. "I've had normal pregnancy fatigue," I said. "Like most people do." Silence. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was clarifying. My aunt frowned slightly. "I thought you were on bed rest." I didn't look at Maya when I answered. "No," I said. "I've never been on bed rest." That was it. No accusation. No explanation. No correction aimed at her. Just a fact placed gently in the middle of the table. Maya laughed again, but it sounded thin this time. Oh, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe. But people were already connecting dots. Over the next hour, similar moments happened again and again. Small questions. Simple answers. Clear facts. And every time, the story Maya had been telling quietly fell apart, without me touching it. I didn't need to confront her. Reality was doing the work for me. Later that evening, my mother pulled me aside. "Why did Maya say you were struggling?" she asked quietly. I looked at her and chose my words carefully. "I don't know," I said. "I never told her that." My mother didn't reply right away. She just nodded. That nod meant more than any apology ever could, because it meant she was seeing it now on her own. After that dinner, things changed. Not loudly, not all at once, but the way people asked questions changed. The way they listened changed. They started asking me directly. They stopped checking with Maya first. And Maya noticed. She called me the next day, her voice tight. "You made me look stupid," she said. I didn't argue. I answered honestly, I replied. There was a pause. You could have handled that differently, she said. I did, I replied. I handled it truthfully. She didn't know what to do with that. Because manipulation depends on silence, confusion, and compliance. And I had removed all three. From that point on, she pulled back slightly, not because she was done, but because she was recalculating. People like Maya don't give up control easily. But once they realize they're no longer the narrator, they start losing their footing. I could feel it. The balance had shifted. And for the first time since that dinner where she stole my announcement, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Once people stop seeing someone as the interpreter of truth, that person starts to feel exposed. Maya felt it almost immediately. She stopped posting vague updates online, stopped offering to handle things for me, stopped answering questions she hadn't been asked. Not because she suddenly respected my boundaries, but because she sensed the shift. When control fades, anxiety replaces it. She started reaching out more privately instead. Texts that sounded caring but felt sharp underneath. Are you upset with me? I feel like you're shutting me out. I don't know why you're doing this to me. Notice the language. Not what she did, but what I was doing to her. That was her final strategy. Rewriting herself as the wounded one. I didn't engage emotionally. I replied politely, briefly, factually. I'm focusing on my health. I'm doing what feels right for me. I need space. She didn't like the word space. She showed up at my house one afternoon without warning. I could tell by the way she stood at the door that she'd rehearsed what she was going to say. You've changed, she said as soon as she stepped inside. Yes, I replied. I have. She crossed her arms. Ever since the pregnancy, you've been distant. I sat down slowly. I've been quiet. That's different. She laughed bitterly. You're acting like I did something wrong. I met her eyes. Calm. Steady. You shared something that wasn't yours to share, I said. And then you spoke for me. She shook her head. I was helping. Help doesn't take control, I replied. That was the moment she realized she couldn't gaslight me anymore. She tried guilt next. I've always been there for you, she said. And now you're pushing me away during the happiest time of your life. I took a deep breath. This is a happy time for me, I said. That's why I'm protecting it. She stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. Because people who feed on involvement don't understand protection. She left shortly after that. No hug. No closure. Just frustration. After that conversation, her influence faded quickly. People stopped asking her about my pregnancy. Stopped looping her into plans. Stopped assuming she knew everything. She wasn't angry anymore. She was irrelevant. And that's when she tried one last move. She posted a long message online about being excluded, about learning who really supports you, about sisters growing apart. No names, no accusations, just enough to bait me. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself, because by then the people who mattered already knew the truth. They had seen the difference between noise and consistency, between control and calm, between someone who needed to speak and someone who didn't. And that was the consequence Maya never planned for. Not punishment, not exposure, but loss of authority. She could no longer speak for me. And without that role, she didn't know where to stand. The last months of my pregnancy were quiet in the best possible way. No updates narrated by someone else. No interpretations. No emotional commentary layered on top of my body, my choices, my life. Just space. I learned how rare that is and how powerful. Maya stayed distant after that. Polite at family events. Careful with her words. She still smiled, still tried to act normal, but something fundamental had changed. She no longer spoke for me. And without that role, she didn't know how to relate to me at all. The baby arrived on a calm morning just after sunrise. No dramatic announcements. No group messages sent without my consent. No moment stolen. My husband and I held our child in silence first. We cried. We laughed. We breathed. Then only when I was ready I shared the news. On my terms. Family came later. One by one. Respectful. Gentle. Different. Maya stood at the edge of the room when she visited. She smiled at the baby. Said the right things. But she didn't take over. She didn't narrate. She didn't post. She waited. That told me everything. After that day, our relationship settled into something new. Not close, not hostile. Boundaried. And that was the real ending. Not reconciliation. Not punishment. Alignment. I realized I didn't need her to admit what she'd done. I didn't need an apology crafted carefully enough to protect her pride. I needed my life back. And I had it. Motherhood changed me, but not in the way people always talk about. It didn't make me softer or weaker. It made me clearer. Clear about what I would protect. Clear about who had access. Clear about the difference between love and control. Maya eventually found other places to put her energy. Other stories to manage. Other people to orbit. And I let her. Because I had learned something essential. You don't win by outspeaking someone who always needs the microphone. You win by stepping out of their story entirely. If you're listening to this and a family member crossed a line they pretend not to remember. If someone took a moment that belonged to your body, your heart, your life. Let me tell you this gently, clearly, without drama. You're allowed to protect what's yours. You're allowed to set boundaries without explaining them 10 times. And you're allowed to go quiet not because you're weak but because you're done negotiating your worth. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't confrontation. It's peace. It's clarity. It's living fully without permission. If this story resonated with you, share your experience in the comments. Someone reading it might finally feel seen. Like this video if you believe in quiet power. Subscribe to Revenge with Raina for more stories about dignity, boundaries, and reclaiming your life on your own terms. And remember, not every victory needs applause. Not every boundary needs an argument. And not every betrayal deserves access to the new version of you. Sometimes, silence is not the end. It's the beginning.